Welcome back, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled you're here for today's explainer. Now, if you've been following our recent topics, you know we're kind of obsessed with breaking down the hidden systems that govern our daily lives, right? Well, today we've got a truly fascinating blueprint to examine, the architecture of human understanding. We're going to explore how human communication is not just some, abstract concept. It's actually a dynamic, structural tool that fundamentally changes based on the environment we're operating in. Think of the way we connect with others as literally building a structure from the ground up.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because true communication, it isn't just throwing words at a wall and hoping they stick. It's a real art form. It's the art of ensuring that the ideas you transmit are understood precisely in the way you intended them to be. It's all about making sure that your exact meaning lands perfectly with your audience, acting as a flawless bridge between your mind and theirs.
So, to understand how we actually build that bridge, let's take a quick look at today's blueprint. We'll start with the foundations of communication, move into navigating intercultural differences, then mastering group collaboration, the classroom dynamic, and we'll wrap it all up with the cornerstone of connection.
All right, let's lay down some groundwork with Part 1, the foundations of communication, or the building blocks of exchange. Now, when we're pouring this foundation, we have to perfectly blend three distinct materials: clarity, empathy, and adaptability. Without these, the whole thing is vulnerable to collapse before we even start. We're really relying on two primary pillars here, and what's interesting is how they contrast. We've got verbal communication on one side and nonverbal on the other. On the verbal side, it's not just the words coming out of your mouth, it's your tone, it's your specific language choices. And then on the nonverbal side, that's where meaning is conveyed through your physical gestures, facial expressions, and overall body language. You absolutely need both of these pillars to hold up the walls of your exchange. And when you look at how those two pillars interact, a crucial truth emerges. Words are inherently reinforced by signals way beyond just speech. When you combine your spoken language with intentional facial expressions and gestures, you aren't just transmitting data, you're creating a structurally sound and incredibly rich exchange of ideas. Think of your body language as the mortar right between the bricks of your words.
Moving right along to our second section, navigating intercultural differences and designing for diverse environments.
The second we step into a different cultural landscape, our baseline style has to dramatically adapt. The crucial point here is that successfully navigating these environments requires a deep, intentional sensitivity to three very specific things: cultural norms, cultural values, and cultural traditions. You can't just copy-paste the exact same conversational blueprint everywhere you go. To be effective, your communication architecture has to account for the unique societal frameworks of the people you're interacting with. So why does that matter so much? Well, applying that sensitivity directly ensures respect. It acts like this powerful structural reinforcement that proactively reduces misunderstandings. When you actually respect an environment's norms and traditions, you're preventing those structural cracks that so often lead to conflict in diverse spaces.
Now let's expand the blueprint a bit further with Part 3, mastering group collaboration, or constructing a cohesive team.
Okay, stepping into the workspace. How do multiple individuals actually combine their distinct styles to achieve a shared objective? It takes a very specific procedural framework. Step 1 is active listening. You've got to take in information before you react. Step 2 is role clarity. Basically, knowing exactly what part of the structure you're responsible for building. And Step 3 is constructive dialogue. You literally must sequence these 3 steps in this exact order to make genuine, friction-free progress.
Ultimately, actually executing those collaborative steps is the only way a group can successfully build toward and achieve its collective goals. Because without active listening, clear roles, and constructive dialogue, you don't have a team building a cohesive structure. You just have a bunch of people hammering away at different walls in the dark. Let's step into a slightly different room now. Section 4, the classroom dynamic and the architecture of learning. In an academic setting, communication becomes this highly specialized, vital tool. And what's really interesting is the delicate balance of power it maps out. It's a dual responsibility. On one side, teachers have to carry the weight of balancing their authority with a really inviting openness. But on the flip side, students can't just be passive observers. They have to engage actively to create a truly participatory environment. Real learning only happens when both parties hold up their end of the bargain.
Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, the cornerstone of connection and the universal traits of understanding. So what's the roof holding this entire architecture together?
Well, across all the domains we just talked about, whether it's intercultural differences, team collaborations, or classroom dynamics, effective communication always requires 4 interconnected elements to be equally present. We're talking clarity, feedback, adaptability, and respect. If you remove even one of these pillars, honestly, the structural integrity of your understanding completely falls apart.
But here is the thing. We have to remember this architecture is never static. It's a living, dynamic structure that must constantly evolve based on 3 moving targets: your changing context, your shifting audience, and your ultimate purpose for speaking in the first place. You pretty much have to renovate your approach constantly to fit the present moment.
And when you do that, the payoff is absolutely immense. By mastering these dimensions and staying adaptable, both individuals and groups unlock a distinct 3-step pathway. First, you foster deep trust. Second, you are perfectly equipped to seamlessly resolve conflicts when they inevitably pop up. And third, you powerfully drive progress forward. Honestly, that is the ultimate achievement of human connection.
Which brings us to the end of our structural walkthrough today. And I want to leave you with a highly practical question directly inspired by all this. Look at the blueprint of your own daily life. How does your own communication architecture need adapting right now to build better trust in your specific environment today? Are you maybe missing that nonverbal mortar, or lacking cultural sensitivity or active listening? Take a hard look at your own foundations and go build something incredible. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.